Hi and welcome.
Wait. Hey, listener, have you rated our podcast yet?
Help us get 100 ratings and 30 reviews by November. We need your stars. Okay, proceed.
Okay, thanks. And hi, welcome to the Let's K12 Better podcast. This podcast is a project between Mom of All Cave Center kids. Hi!
In our podcast, we will cover a variety of subjects involving K12 education and family life.
We will talk about the ways that parents, kids, and educators can improve K12 education and family life. We encourage you to join our conversation on social media using the hashtag Let's K12 Better. Let's jump into episode 23 of the Let's K12 Better podcast.
All right, last week we asked families to have discussions. We provided 6 questions. We encourage everyone to go back to episode 22 and check out that short episode to see which 6 questions we posed to our audience. This week, we will be answering some of these questions and a few others that deal with the debates because that's happened. All right, so let's jump in. We're going to start off with our first question. Why should people vote even if they do not like the candidates? What do you think?
I think people should vote because, first of all, if you don't vote, like if there's a lot of candidates and it comes down to 2 and you don't like any of them, well, then you should have voted before, or like...
What is that called, voting before we narrow it down to like 1 per party? Do you know what that's called?
I think it's called registering. It's called the runoffs.
No.
It's called funding.
No. Oh my
I thought it was called the runoffs.
It is a runoff. So each party does have a runoff. It's called the primaries.
Oh,
like secondaries are
the mo you know.
Yeah, the primaries.
Like the primary colors.
Okay, so we've established what the primaries are. Awesome. And we can go in more depth later when it's just us. And I recommend that our listeners learn the path as well. So let's go back to our original question, though. Like, why should people vote even if after the primaries it gets down to, the candidate per party, even if you don't like the candidates, the candidate for the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or Libertarian Party or the Green Party or the People's Party, right? Like, why should you vote?
I think that you should vote because, first of all, if person who you didn't want to vote wins, then you won't like what's happening in the earth, because you didn't vote. You let other people vote for you. And also, I think that also another part of voting is actually reading the subscription so that like you know what you're going to get out of it if you vote.
Oh, so it's not a subscription, but it's reading like the background information about candidates. It's cool. Like I like how your mind is. That's cool. All right. How about you? Oh, you want to go? Okay. Go ahead.
We should vote in elections because even if it's not the outcome, like even if it's like we've all voted, it's all said and done, and it's not the outcome or the candidate you wanted, we still need an outcome overall because we need to determine where our country is going to be for the next 4 years or for the next however long that position is getting held.
So you're saying that we need everybody's input.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I like that. How about you? Why should you vote? Even if you don't like the candidates.
I agree with Naima that... Wait, sorry. Let me start over. I'm so sorry, but you have to edit this part out. You should vote even if you don't like the candidates because, again, like if a candidate that you didn't want to win wins, if a candidate wins and you didn't want them to win, you didn't really have a say in it and you can't really say anything. And also, you seem sort of like a hypocrite if you say for people to vote and you don't even vote. So I feel like it's more like just because you don't like the candidates, vote for the one that you think will do the best job, even if you don't like them.
Or the one that aligns most with your beliefs.
Yeah.
So
What do you think?
So you guys, I was going to ask what can you do about it, and you guys said, vote for the candidate that most closely aligns with your beliefs. What are some things that you could possibly do, like even after the voting part, in relationship to the candidate?
I think that
Hold
one
them
thing
accountable.
that you can
Hold
do
them accountable.
is that if they said something,
Mm-hmm.
like we said this in one of our episodes, I forgot which one it was, but like if Mom said that we're gonna have cupcake parties every single week, so that we elect her, and we had hot dog parties every single week instead. We should call out that Mom said we'd have cupcakes, not hot dogs.
Yeah.
And that's part of the hold them accountable.
Yeah, so you want to make sure that you're listening to the promises that are being made and then hold them accountable to the promises that they made to persuade people to get those votes.
Another thing you can do is you can also learn from your mistakes that you made.
What do you mean by that?
Like, if you vote from someone and you don't read the background, you can read it next time and make sure that that's what you want to happen.
Yeah, so voting is an experience. It's a continued experience is what you're saying. It's like not just the one time you vote.
Yes.
I like that.
Can I add on to Sophia?
Yeah, of course.
Real quick, sorry. But also, other than just reading, I think she said this before, but like just reading about what they're about, maybe you could also watch, like sometimes presidents have rallies, or people who are like running for stuff have rallies, or they're speaking to like people. Yeah, or debates or something. You could like closely listen, or maybe not read stuff about it because they might not be correct and they might not say exactly, or watch commentary because like sometimes they don't say exactly what they said, or like
it's biased.
Yeah, it's biased. So yeah, I would say just watch like the rallies or the speeches or whatever they say. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. All right. So, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
This is kind of also part of hold them accountable, but if they do something contrary to their beliefs, even if they have good beliefs or not, you need to call them out to make sure that they're doing actions that align with their morals.
What are some ways that we could call out our representatives when they do something that's
tweeting,
not aligned? Tweeting,
writing
Twitter,
letters.
writing a
that
letter.
you can do is you can like tell people who didn't read the background. You can tell them, "Hey, is this what you want to happen? Is this what you wanted?" And like they'll say yes or no, and then they can base on that decision.
So I love this. So you're saying tweeting and writing letters. That's a me
Like
to my
posting.
representative, right? Like posting. Like I'm talking to my representative either via social media or via email. And then you said something really cool just now about asking other people, is this what you want? So you're doing a one to everybody else. Like, hey guys, was this what we wanted? Is this what we asked for? Not just or not just the person that you voted for. You're asking everybody else. So you're rabble rousing. You're rallying the troops. You're like, hey guys, did we vote for this? I like that.
Protest.
She said it was burritos.
Very true.
Huzzah.
So we're going to move on to our next question because I feel like we could stay on this one forever. But so we talk about like voting a lot, right?
It takes up 90% of the dinner time.
It really does, especially during this time of year. So actually, let me ask this question. What do you guys think is missing in the discussion in schools about voting or the election?
The actual discussion.
I think
because we don't actually talk about these things in school. Like for things like social studies or like extracurricular activities, sometimes kids or teachers bring them up and we'll have like a small discussion. But we don't really have a subject in school or a like lesson for it. It's just kind of there and we just noticed it a little bit.
So you think that schools excuse me, I'm losing
should have
my
their
voice.
own subject.
You think that schools should talk about it more?
Can I add on to her? So basically what I wanted to add on to Naima about what she said about schools talking about like voting and stuff. Usually at school, like we used to learn about like the three branches of government and stuff like that, and like they talk a little bit about all of them, but the one that they mostly talk about is the executive branch, which is like the president and stuff like that. And in my opinion, like I don't think they should talk about that much, because one, the president can do stuff, but they can't really do a lot as much as like Congress or the judicial branch. So like that's like my opinion. And then like another thing is that I also think they should talk about voting more, but like voting for not just the president, voting for like Congress and the judicial and like the judges and stuff. Wait, can you joke?
Yeah, there's local judges you definitely vote for, right?
Excuse me.
I wanted to add on to Garvey.
I want to add on to Garvey.
I wanted to add on to Garvey.
Hold on, let her go, and then you're up.
She literally just went.
It's okay.
No, it's not okay.
It's all right. Shh. It's okay. It's okay. Let her go, and then you're gonna go. We're saving the best for last. All right.
I wanted to add on by Garvey by saying, like, if they're going to also, they should teach about it in a subject that, like, I'm pretty sure, like all subjects, you can integrate politics into it at some point, but I think that we should add these sort of subjects into like a social studies class or a special class where we can learn about things like the legislators and the judiciary, aside from just like the executive branch, or things like debates. Like we should have something like a lesson where students and teachers can talk about these things.
So I have another question. Sometimes candidates run ads, right? So you'll see them like on television or on YouTube sometimes.
Or Facebook.
Or on Facebook, you're right. And the ads say harmful things about the other candidate. What do you guys think about those kinds of ads?
I think that in some way they're actually effective, and sometimes they don't always say harmful things. Sometimes they actually say like what they're going to do to improve themselves. But they actually do sometimes say harmful things. I think about that. I just feel in some ways it wants, like if I was an adult, it would want me to vote for them. In other ways, it wouldn't want me to vote for them, because if they're focusing on the other person, they're not going to stabilize their promises and what they promise the people that they do.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I really love that. So like the fact that they're so focused on the other person and tearing down the other person kind of makes you a little bit nervous in that, like, well, what are you actually going to do?
I want to add on to Sophia, and I want to say that sometimes she's right. It is effective, and it also makes people think that's true. Like, say, for example, oh, this person's actually not going to do that. Then people are like, oh, my God, since he said it, that's probably true. So they believe them, and then the other person loses votes. And I think it's kind of toxic, because even though it's like allowed because nobody says you can't do it, it's kind of unfair, because like if the other person isn't shooting out harmful ads to you, you shouldn't do that. And you shouldn't even be the first one to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Do you have anything you want to add?
It's kind of pointless if you do shoot like harmful ads, because that's just gonna make I feel like that's kind of the problem. It's kind of making less people want, like things like that are kind of making less people want to vote actually.
Why?
And that's what, because it's like they're not even focusing on their morals or what they're, like Sophia said, they're saying they're gonna do. They're not like working towards getting those things as them becoming a reality. They're just working on tearing down the other candidates so that they can become that like that position or that like thing. And they should just focus on like what they're gonna do. If someone's like doing something like shooting terrible ads at you, putting up things that don't lie with your morals, saying you said them or something like that, you should kind of ignore them. But I don't mean like ignore them completely where it's like, oh, this never happened, but like just say calmly, like stay calm and like say I didn't say that, or like please stop, and then just go on with your business and doing what you need to do.
So you're saying great advice for candidates, right? what should the average voter do? You know, how, like, you know, I'm just your regular voter and I'm seeing these ads. You know, what can a regular voter do when they see these ads to help inform their practice? She's going to go first and then you're going to go second. She's going to go first.
Can I go second?
Yes.
For just like the average Joe, just a regular voter, they can read up on the actual candidate instead of what they're saying about the other candidate, because you shouldn't really base your opinion on someone or something based on what bad things have been said about it.
Right.
I think what you should do is, if you hear false information or information that you don't know, I think that you should actually look it up on a website that you can actually trust and that you know speaks the truth. Because then if you know a resource that you already know speaks the truth, then you can tell if it's real or not. But sometimes they actually don't tell the right information, not because they're not truthful, because sometimes they don't even know. So that maybe you can like find out by yourself or what happens.
So that's pretty tricky then. Like, if you're looking for information from a site and then you're not even getting the right information. So, you know, in the show notes, we will link a couple of sites to help people be more informed voters and do more research and background on their candidates in a very easy way. I think some of the sites, you just put your zip code in, or state and zip code, and then they show you all the people who are up for election. So that can help.
State or in that country.
For your area. So that's pretty awesome. All right, so
excuse me, before we move on, can I add a helpful tip? Like, when you're looking for a website, you don't want to go, like, the most helpful thing to do is, instead of going straight to a website, is that you can go to like a debate or something, because they're really easy to access. You can access them on like news channels or YouTube, or like even some TV, just normal TV services will have like a straight run of debate, and that's really helpful for like deciding who you're going to vote for.
That leads into our next question. You mentioned the debates, right? Or a debate as a way for you to get to know a candidate or candidates.
Yes.
Right? I'm going to ask you guys, you know, we watched the first presidential debate and we watched the vice presidential debate. You know, we're not going to sit here and bash or elevate any candidate, but let's
bash mean?
Like tear down. You know what bash means. We're not going to tear down or elevate any candidate over another, right?
We're just going to say what we think.
We're going to say, like, we're just going to talk about, like, so what are some observations that you guys had about the debates?
Some observations I had were that, a lot of people, some of the people were yelling, but some of them weren't yelling all the time. So then I think that people shouldn't yell. So maybe I could vote for the person who doesn't yell, or like says something that I believe that should happen or should be in this country or should happen.
So you're saying that as people are talking, they get emotionally elevated, right? And they're like yelling over each other?
Yes.
Okay. And so you would rather people remain calm and state their point?
Yes.
Okay.
Instead of just yelling, and like when you yell, people don't actually hear you, but they sometimes actually zone out or get scared.
Oh, that's a very interesting point. I really like that. Anyone else want to talk about differences they saw in the two debates, or just your overall, just general, what you thought about the debate?
I thought that the debates were interesting because I feel like usually in a regular debate, they wouldn't be like, 6 feet apart and like stuff like that. So that was like one thing that was like, oh yeah, since it's coronavirus, they have to be 6 feet apart. They have to have like separated screens and stuff like that.
Let's just get into it, right? The presidential debate, right? How did you walk away feeling? What did you walk away feeling from the presidential debate?
I felt like, can I go?
Yeah.
I felt like I really didn't learn anything at all because the whole time both of them were going at each other, but like not like how a debate should go. Like they were both yelling at each other, and like it's not like they were saying like terrible things about each other, but it was just so.
Well, there were some really
No, but I mean,
terrible
like-
things that were said.
I mean, like it wasn't like, oh, you blah blah blah. Like the whole time, like the most of the time, it was just them yelling over each other, and then them not listening to the moderator and stuff like that.
What is what do you like? What do you think that kind of message sends to the American public, or to other countries, or to even young people who can't vote?
I think it sends a message like, remember the question we were talking about in the beginning, like they don't know who to vote for and you still have to vote. Like I think that sets a precedent where it's like both of them are kind of like the same now because they're both not the same, equivalent to each other, because both of them are like doing the same thing, yelling at each other. None of them are listening to like the moderator, or none of them are like answering the question. Actually, one of them was answering the questions most of the part, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're not setting a good example to say, oh, you should vote for me. You know what I'm saying?
So you're there. So the yelling does not instill confidence in a voter that might not know who to vote for.
Yeah. I would like to add on to what Gubby said, because she said that I forgot what she said. Can you repeat the last thing that you said? I want to add on to it.
How are you going to add on and don't remember
Because
the point?
I had something I wanted to say. I had something I
Bro,
wanted to say.
what? So I have a question. Should presidents act better than everybody else?
I
Most
think
definitely not.
I think that they shouldn't.
Why?
Like they should act like good and like better. They should be a good role model, because like if someone else wants to be president, right? And they see a bad example, they're going to be like, oh, this is the right thing to do. Or, oh, this is what I should be doing, because they're the president and they're making these decisions. At the same time, I feel like that the president shouldn't, but the presidents or like the people in charge still shouldn't look down on people, because then that means like the society isn't going to work, because then everyone's just going to be yelling at each other and like rioting, and then there's going to be more fighting. And I think that also the president should be responsible and say the truth that they did.
Okay, you packed a lot in there. I can't even unpack it. That's amazing. What would you like to add? Just about debates and decorum or anything, right?
The debate, it seemed less formal, like because of all the yelling and like overlapping.
Is the debate
like,
a formal experience?
Yes, I believe it should be more of a formal experience. Like people should be just practicing basic etiquette, by like not talking over each other, not like belittling each other. Like they shouldn't act like they're better than everyone else, especially because this is supposed to be a formal event, at least in my opinion. They shouldn't be like doing things to kind of, I guess, I don't know, it's just kind of like lowering the status of debates as a whole.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask a question. Wait, let me ask this question, right? So you're saying that debates are a formal experience, right? Our society kind of enjoys drama and entertainment, though, right? So, what do you think about that part of it?
I think about it that part, it's kind of messed up, because if there's always, like, if people keep encouraging what people do, then they're just going to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. They're not going to stop, because that's what people want. I'd also like to say something about the other question before me. So I'd like to say, when you're at debates and you're yelling, it's going to make people not want to vote for you more, because you're not actually stating what you want. you're yelling what you want.
And
That's like a fierce way. That's not like, well, okay, this is what I want. Well, okay, let's figure it out together.
I appreciate that. How about you?
I feel like since the society is based off of drama and people in the society like drama, I think that like what they're doing is just like the people like it because they're feeding off of it and because that's what they like, drama and like stuff like that. So I feel like one, it's not going to stop because people are bored and they have nothing else to do but make media off of people's drama and stuff like that. And two, I don't think there's a way to fix it either because, again,
Yeah. I'm going to ask another question. So let's talk about the vice presidential debates. Okay. All right. What are some things that you observed during the vice presidential debate?
What I observed from the vice presidential debate is, a little bit of it was the same from the presidential debate because, like, they were still yelling at each other and overlapping each other, but actually, just sometime they were actually listening and like telling what, like, one of them was actually listening, trying to answer the questions.
So there was a lot more like substance. You could hear. What you're saying is you could hear what people had
actually
to say.
want.
Okay. I appreciate
there was a fly on Mike Pence's head.
Why are you showing me this picture? Yes. What did you think about that?
I thought it was nasty because there wasn't a fly on Kamala's head.
Kamala?
Yeah.
Senator
Kamala.
Harris's?
Yeah.
You're hilarious. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
I'm actually going to put that in.
That's staying in the show. Well, I mean, it is what it is. Got to roll with it sometimes. All right, so we have 2 more debates left. Do you want to watch the next 2?
Kind of, but I kind of don't because, like, for the vice presidential debates, I would, if there were 2 more, I would kind of want to watch them because they were more put together. Like, this kind of tying back in with the drama thing, but we don't really need that much drama because there's so many dramatic things in human society and in entertainment and even in media, because people sometimes over-exaggerate things. And I think that we shouldn't over-exaggerate or dramatize. Dramatize. New word. Wow. Everything and like make it dramatic. We need to like see things as like just, oh, that's not dramatic. Okay.
Right. So
because especially for a topic like a debate, especially for like a position like the president, because he's the person who's like the representative of our country, and
like 50 times.
I know I'm trying to put a point across, and it's just not working.
No, it's okay. You actually made a great point.
I just have one thing to say.
Wait, hold on. She made a great point, and I think that you're right. Like we want to take the drama out because when we
putting more drama in.
Right, because when we think about it, these are people's lives. The decisions that are being made impact millions of people. And if we're talking about a president who's going to engage internationally, it impacts billions of people. Do you want to watch the next 2 presidential debates?
I kind of, at the same time, I do want to watch them and I don't.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I think that if there were 2 more vice president elections, I'd watch them because they were actually, like Naima said, they were actually way more stabler, and like there wasn't as much yelling as going on. There was still some yelling, but there wasn't as much. I would like to watch it because first of all, I want to get more information on who's doing what and who else is doing what else. So
right.
I still get the idea who to vote for.
Okay. How about you?
even though like I can't vote, I have the same like reason as Sophia, like just to get information of who we think is gonna run the country better based on their like actions and stuff. I also want to be there for the memes.
You want to be?
We're all
just be honest. We all want to be there for the memes.
We all want to be there for the memes. Let's be honest. The memes are pretty amazing.
They're the best.
Best
Immaculate.
memes out there.
All right.
They brightened up 2020.
Okay, so here's our final question. It's the final question. The final question. Nice. All right, I love you guys.
Immaculate flavors.
All right, so listen. This is the final question. Voting is like only one part of your civic experience, right? And kids can't vote. So what are some ways that, because kids can't vote and voting is not the only part of your civic experience, what are other ways that you can engage in your community or help your community not voting?
Like this is not related to the debate or like politics. Maybe you could go to like sometimes communities, like our community has like a pool house or like a community house or something like that. Maybe you could go over there and see if like they need help with anything there. Like, you know, they need to replant the flowers in your community. Like that helps your community to make it look nice and stuff like that.
So volunteering your time. Volunteering your time to beautify your community.
Yeah.
I like that.
Or to do stuff like pack canned food for other people who are like who are like affected by coronavirus or who are homeless or who need food, stuff like that. And donate.
I think I like what Garby said, so I'm gonna add on. So another thing you can do, I like this idea a lot. So you can remind people, like, is who you voted for what you actually want to happen, not what someone told you is gonna happen. Like you can put up signs, so like when they go on a walk or something. And you can change your ballot before it's too late, so that you don't so you can change it anytime, except for when it comes down to 2, you can't change it.
Yeah. So you're saying a couple things. So I just want to parse this out. So one way to help your community is to ask other people to also be informed when they vote.
Not who to vote for, just to be informed for who you're voting for.
So you're not telling people who to vote for, but you're telling them to read up on.
Correct.
Okay.
And make sure that who you voted for is the person that you're sure that you want to vote for.
Right.
Who someone told you.
Not who someone told you to. I love that. What else? What about you?
You can not just go out in your community and help people be informed voters, but you can be an informed voter yourself. And like you can, even though it's not voting season yet, but you can make sure it is voting season. I mean, it's not time to vote
actually,
right now.
Mail-in ballot people and early voting people, they're getting it popping. I like going on the day, but I'm a huge nerd.
Special.
And also, I have time to go on the day. But there are options.
Okay, thank you for letting me know so I can adjust my answer to make it more flavor. But people who are early ballot and mail-in, they can like vote, and also people who, even though like they're not going in yet, like you can still read up on the candidates. You can still like have discussions, and you can like do things like that to kind of help your voting understanding and help you be a better informed voter.
So we're saying, I mean, y'all are talking about all the right things with voting, but like after voting is done, or kids, like I'm asking you guys about like kids cannot vote. Like if you're 15 and under, because in some places 16-year-olds can vote locally.
Actually, sometimes 15.
Nope, 16, baby, 16. No, you're not. You just no, you didn't give out. We corrected it. Anyway, some places locally 16-year-olds can vote, but 15 and under, you can't vote. So, right, what are some things that you can do in your community or in your family that you can be civically engaged.
Some
not
things
vote?
that you can do is you can sometimes you can actually read over with your parents if your parents let you read over with them, but you also need to make sure you don't spread that to your friends, because then your friends are going to spread that to their parents, and then they're going to be like, oh, why did they vote for that person? I voted for this person. And there's going to be a huge argument. So I think that if you know your child won't tell anyone, or if you trust your child, then I think that you should look over with them, or maybe teach them how to vote, so when the time comes, they're ready to actually look over and be like, okay, this is who I want, this is closest to my beliefs, or these are my beliefs, so I'm going to vote for this person.
Appreciate that.
Like Sophia said, you can be an informed voter.
But you're under 16.
Not be an informed voter. I mean, you can still read up on the candidates, but you can also make signs, and you can also do community service, because you're never too young to do community service unless you're a baby. But I mean, old enough where you're able to talk, walk, use the bathroom.
Okay, guys, you're
that's
taking
an
it
important
way
one.
far.
But you're never too old to be helping in your community, or helping your friends.
What are some examples?
Like Garvey said, you could replant flowers. You can help the elderly in your neighborhood.
Did you guys know that? I like that. Helping senior citizens in your neighborhood is really awesome. Did you guys know that they're asking, because of coronavirus, they're asking young people to work the poll stations and poll places?
No. But
well, you guys are not teens. I think that there's an age limit.
Teens before though.
Yeah,
Last
there's
time
a
we
few
went.
teens that work hours every year, and that's pretty cool. But now, because a lot of older people do work at polling places, they're asking, or there was a campaign to get young people to work at polling places. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
want to work at a pool place. That would be a cool
Oh,
site.
you will. Yes, you will. You guys probably have no choice.
Oops.
You will volunteer your time.
Down in the pool.
Hey. So, I just want to say, hi. I just want to say thank you guys so much for sharing your input.
Thank you.
This was super awesome.
So awesome.
Awesome possum.
That was the final question. The final question.
We hope that you and your family use this moment to have important discussions about civics, voting, and the election. Remember, when you have family discussion, be mindful that everyone gets an opportunity to share their thoughts. No one should be shamed for expressing their thoughts. Instead, use moments of misinformation or weird beliefs as an opportunity to engage further or begin an educational journey on that topic. We also recommend focusing on what and how, not who, when talking politics. Think about issues and discuss creative avenues to solve those problems. And don't limit yourself to the way things have always been done. In this day and age, a bit of creativity would be great for us all. FYI, we've put together a list of nonpartisan resources and tools that you can use during the election season. Find that link in the show notes.
Thank you for listening to the Let's K12 Better podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe.
We want to hear from you. Connect with us on social media at Let's K12 Better on all social media platforms. Or connect with me on Twitter and Instagram at Mom of All Capes. We're on every podcasting platform. So if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to rate and review our podcast. We're trying to reach 100 ratings and 30 reviews by November.
See See you next time.